Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one stop podcast for students, professionals, parents, and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance, and career mentoring. Please welcome your host, Dr. S.B. Mishra, to the show. And happy listening.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode on India Career Center. Today we have Subhas Bhaskaran from Bangalore. Subhas has spent about 10 years of his early career after graduating from RV College as an engineer in the corporate life. He has worked in various organizations. And post that, he got certified in a CEO certification program for mentoring. And in the last 10 years, he has mentored over 1,500 plus professionals across different levels in the organizations. Today, I welcome Subhas to discuss about a very important topic, which I think a lot of our young professionals who are in different stage of their professional life will need some kind of support in different stages of their professional life. And probably this conversation of ours with Subhas might help them to know about what are the challenges they are facing and how uh, they can reach out to Subhas or they can reach out to me in terms of getting the solution in their professional life. Welcome, Subhas, to India Career Center.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
And also, your India Career Center is a platform where you're bringing two sides of different sectors, people into one platform for sharing the knowledge as well as getting the knowledge. Thank you for the initiative also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Subhas, before we dive into the technical part of our discussion,
Right.
I always ask my guests to talk about their early life, their early career and education, so that we understand you as a person. I think the listeners will also will be able to connect with you in terms of knowing about your personal life,
Right.
and then probably we'll take it forward. So over to you to talk us through about your early life, early career, early
Yeah.
professional life. Yeah,
Got
over
it.
to you.
Right. Thank you. I'm basically from Bangalore. I did my engineering from RV College of Engineering. I finished in production engineering, and later on I went into the marketing. I did it in 1993. I went into marketing because I had a passion for marketing at the time. Got into marketing, and during and also I found that I need to upgrade my knowledge. I did my executive MBA from Manipal Academy in marketing, and I started off my career, I would say, in marketing, selling niche products. So my corporate career was until 2004. Last assignment was one of the divisions of Airtel Telecom, where I was heading the South Indian operations. Before that, I was in a company called Inox, where we used to manufacture cryogenic tanks. Also into food processing sector, also capital equipment. So basically, I was in a, I would say, capital equipment manufacturing industry, IT, telecom also. So that was my corporate career. Right.
Yeah, and so you did industrial engineering from RV College and got into these various different type of industry.
Right.
So was it really accidental or it was intentional? I mean, how it really panned out?
No, I wouldn't say it was. It was only incidental. Well, there weren't enough much choices at that time.
Okay.
You move from one company to another. It's not like right now where people have choices to choose. But at that time, it was something where um, uh, There was no other way. Like you get in and then you adapt yourself and then prove yourself and then move to a different sector where you feel that your marketing skills will help. So that's how my journey was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the trigger point for you to leave the corporate life and get into entrepreneurship yourself?
Right.
I believe you started your entrepreneurship journey from 2004 onwards.
Yeah. Right. See, one of the things after Airtel, I found that the growth was less because the telecom had already started. I was in the initial stage. Then it was all operations, right? So my challenge for me, operations is not my cup of tea. I require challenging situations where I could get in and then reach segments, and that is where my, I would say, my passion was. So at that time, it was like I said, okay, let me get into entrepreneurship, right? And my niche was marketing. So I tried talking to different people, partnering with them, and that's how we got into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Wherein all those, whatever I dealt, even in my entrepreneurship from 2004 till now, is all niche products,
Okay.
right? Which require lots of strategy and hard work because there is no structured way of doing it because it's a niche product. But that gave a challenge for me to move forward.
Okay.
So that's how I went to the entrepreneurship. Yeah.
And what was the initial business you started up? What is the business line?
Initially, we started off with supplying equipment for server rooms, niche product. But that time, the IT was just booming.
Okay.
2004, though it was just picking up. The infrastructure was picking up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies coming in, and then if you look at 2008, there was really huge, I would say, market for our product. So the infrastructure, as such, IT was picking up. So there we supplied products for the server rooms, niche products for server rooms where it was required. And it was all innovative products. So other was into ERP for educational institutions.
Okay.
Because there also we found there was a transition from a conventional because internet was coming into the education system. So there was a transition from a conventional structure of administering a education institution to a IT based one.
Okay.
So that's how the ERP also was done. So we took the ERP there. We were supplying ERP products for schools also. So my job was morely into pitching into this niche products to the sectors.
Okay.
And there was one more product where we started off with caricatures also.
Okay.
It was very niche, but that product was too early for the market.
Okay.
We used to hire caricatures and then doing programs. It was so if you look at that was an unorganized sector as such. Like handicrafts, that was also unorganized. Now handicrafts has become organized because there's a focus given more there. But that time there were a lot of caricaturists who had a lot of I would say talent with them. So we thought of connecting them to the corporate world.
Okay.
So we were making it organized and then setting up during the business meets where caricatures on mugs we used to print and then supply to companies during birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
So those also we were doing.
Okay.
Right. And then later on I started up with Empower Business.
Okay.
I'm the promoter of this company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you started Empower Business sometime in 2012.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did a certification from Coaching Foundation of India as a CEO coach. And then I started this company, Empower Business, where the tagline is if you look at breaking your self limiting belief. That is what the tagline talks about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will learn more about that. What was again the trigger point? Why did you get into coaching?
Yeah, got it.
You
and that's
were
something
into so many
yeah.
businesses.
See, one of the things was in my corporate career, what I found was during performance appraisals, right? My boss used to say, "You're not good at this. You're not good at this. You're not good at this." Right? And I found I was not good at that also because I had evidences in my hand, and HR was sending me for training programs, which was like one size fits all. I would go there, then come back, and then again go for an upgrade program. So what I found was I had a lot of there was a pain for me there, like in terms of enhancing performance, right? And the bosses and other stakeholders, not that they didn't want to handle, they had their own KRAs and KPIs. So I said, this is a performance enhancement is a very niche segment where people require. And also, what was happening was even when I moved to a different company, it was almost the same variant which I already knew.
Okay.
Right? And also this, I would say, a lot of psychometric tests where it was all boxing me. Yes, you are already that. So it was more evident for me that, yeah, there's something getting missed out. So I said, let me do something here. Then I said, okay, let me get into coaching. That's how I started Empower Business. There was a pain point for me.
Okay, so basically the whole objective of you getting into coaching was to address your own pain.
Correct.
Okay. And in the process, you found out the aha moment where you thought, okay, if I could reduce my pain, why not help others?
Yeah, true. Because I was also an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, also you're always lonely at the top. Like any startup founder nowadays, though VC funding everything, and you're when you're at the top, you're lonely. I mean, you can't open your cards as you were at the lower level of your management. So people are tight-lipped at the top, which I have undermined.
Right.
So I think this is where coaching actually is very effective.
Okay. That's very interesting. I think a lot of people who are going to watch this video or listen to our podcast will connect with this because I think this was true 100, 200 years back also, and this is going to be true 200 years henceforward. As you move up in the ladder, the space available is less, and there'll be always more and more competition. I think the intensity of competition will only increase because by 2030 we'll be adding 1 billion more people on this earth, and maybe about 1.5 billion by 2050.
Right.
So, in technically speaking, we are adding just another equivalent of India or China population in the next 20 odd years.
Right.
So, which means that not only in corporate, in every sector of life, there'll be intense amount of competition for every basic needs of a human being. I think corporates are no different, I would say.
Correct. I would say more than 200 years. Actually, if you ask me the Indian culture, it's happening since long. The coaching itself is happening, I would say 5,000 years long. Because if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was so skilled, he knew how to win the war. Right? The conversation between Arjuna and Krishna is only the self-limiting belief.
Absolutely, I agree.
Right? And if you look at if you look at our kings in the olden days, like Chanakya, Chandragupta, there was someone who was already there.
Right.
To give a different perspective of what the person is doing.
So it's not enough, basically, just to put in different way, it's not enough to just to know about the knowledge. It's also important to know how to open that knowledge for action.
Right.
And the mentors can do that.
Right. It's like this, action is prerequisite for a result. But knowledge doesn't help.
Only knowledge doesn't help.
Only
knowledge is required.
Knowledge is required. Perfect, what you said. But action is a prerequisite.
Right.
Most of the time, the actions, why people, in fact, when we coach people, we find people know what to do already. Like, we don't have to tell a person what he has to do.
Right.
Like any game in sports, the person on the ground knows what he has to do. Maybe spectators would say he would have done this, he could have done that, but he's the person who's the captain of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So if he gets know what is stopping him, he can bring it in and move forward. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
This coaching is everywhere. I mean, if you look at any sports, everywhere it is there.
Yeah.
Maybe the corporate is not picked up still.
Right.
The reason why I also see is because in the previous, before the information age, people had time to actually work on themselves
Mm-hmm.
because the business cycles were more, the time was more. Number two, the person, a new joinee, has the time to settle and then fail all these. But nowadays, business cycles are more. Performance, every organization is performance oriented, indicators are already there. So a person has to be very agile and adapt to
Mm-hmm.
situations, which if it was okay, it was not happening earlier. Now it doesn't, it is required. Because each day is different. Like what worked yesterday will not work today.
Mm-hmm.
The information surge, everything is at a higher speed. And if you look at right now, since you've been knowing, the businesses are, I mean, what business yesterday was, you won't see that happening today. And where do the people go after the business gets closed? I mean, I find in people talking about the company is not taking, but the person has to work on himself and look at how he has to be agile. So agility is the key for any, and if at all the person has to become agile, he has to unlearn what he has learned already. And unlearning can be done only from an external source, which is support, like any sports, right? So until that learning can be done on his own because there are videos and everything. Like any functional skill can be learned on the net, but a managerial skill with which you're dealing with people's emotions and people can be learned. Has to be, he has to empty his bin already, then he has to put something new. So there, an external person is required.
Right. I think along with agility, what I would also say that adaptability is one of the key, most important factors.
Perfect. What you said is perfect. Because if the person doesn't adapt, he will be fish out of water. Then blaming the environment doesn't work.
Right.
He's the loser finally. And right now, if you also look at the I would say, I mean, having coached so many people nowadays, I mean, during pandemic, a lot of people had come on their own because companies were not sending them. What is happening is we are used to, because we're using smartphone, we expect that things have to happen the way we think. Because we press one on mobile, we file mine, okay? But that doesn't happen when you're doing a human interaction.
Correct.
Right? So adaptability, as you said, is very important as to what that person requires. Is to be looked at first. Then you need to pitch in. Like it's any answer, because everyone has to be an entrepreneur nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't say corporate and entrepreneur. Every person is an entrepreneur nowadays. If he's not an entrepreneur, sorry, he has to pitch every day. Every day he has to pitch himself. He has to scale in the organization. Because I find people with a lot of stuff in organization, but they're not able to pitch. Because packaging is also important. Previously, packaging was not important. Packaging is very important now. So packaging and content have to be, I would say, in synergy.
Right.
Don't get missed out. You're out of the race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's a great insight to what would come up in the next segment of our discussion is.
Right.
I would want you to talk about what is the real process.
Right.
What is the typical structure you will go about to execute this program? Can you just elaborate on that so that our listeners and viewers can actually understand that little more, and then it would be easier for them to figure out whether this is something which they would like to take up or not.
Right. Got it. See, first, when the aspirant comes, he gets into a conversation with us. And then he looks at the synergy between us. That's how it happens, number one. Number two is we get into a self-assessment first, which is called a stress assessment psychometric test. Because I have attended a lot of training programs, picked up the best so that people don't have to reinvent themselves. picked up the best, and then structured in such a way that the results are guaranteed.
Right.
Right. So what happens first is the person. This program is basically one-on-one online.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the advantages is the person has the freedom to do it on his own time. Number one,
Own time, own pace.
own pace also, and there's confidentiality because we all are human beings by nature are open to a third person than to a known person,
Correct.
right?
And for that, trust is important.
Yeah, trust is important. So that comes in, and then what happens is we don't focus on the how because it is like this. Okay, we know for sure that participants are really great. There's nothing getting missed out. Like Sachin is a great player already. He's better than his coach,
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
right? So we consider everyone who comes in here that he is the best in his own domain. Something is getting missed out. That is, we look at mutually what is getting missed out. That is, so we don't look at the how. People know how to perform at their jobs. We look at the why. The why is called a self-limiting belief. A
Right.
self-limiting belief is like an elephant tied to the rope.
Yeah, that's an
Okay.
interesting story. Yeah, you must tell this.
Yeah. So the elephant gets tied, and when the elephant is tied to the rope, everyone knows it's an elephant, but it doesn't know that it can become free and move out. And an external person is required to remove that rope. So we consider everyone who comes in as elephant. So we look at only the why, the source of it, okay? The self-limiting belief. Like I told you, the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, that was a self-limiting belief. It's only a conversation. We look at that. And then what we do is we got an execution because most of the time, until motivation and inspiration doesn't work nowadays because attention span for brain is very less.
Hmm.
Discipline guarantees result. So what it's like any gym. If I go to a gym, what we do is we look at what is the weight right now, what is the weight we need to go. I need to go, and there is a personalized one required. So the analogy of the gym is brought here because in gym you are removing your excess whatever it is. Like the same thing when you want to unlearn something, you require a data first. Until you don't have a data, so we do a data harvesting. So how we do a data harvesting is we do a stress management test,
Okay.
psychometric test, where the stress is only a conversation, right? Because if you look at any organization or even in families, what happens is uh, anything is only a network of communication.
Hmm.
Until the communication is not sent out or not voiced out, automatically it gets into a stress,
Yes. Completely agree.
right? And that gets into your cell. And once it gets into your cell, automatically your well-being goes for a 6.
Yeah.
So what we ensure anyone who joins the program, we also at the end of the day he gets freedom in his well-being also. The byproduct of people get of the program because the stress is something we look at from where the stress points are for the person.
Hmm.
A psychometric test is there. Then what we do is then he comes for we do a one-on-one session again based on this collected data, self-assessment. Then there is something which is unique, which I would say that not many people are doing it because a lot of back-end work is required. We do a 360-degree feed forward.
Okay.
A 360-degree feed forward is something where we talk to our stakeholders, like his bosses, previous bosses, clients, classmates, family members, because
And this is with the consent of the candidate.
yeah, with the consent of the candidate, wherever he's comfortable, because we don't want to, sorry, poison the relationships.
He
also.
or she.
He or she, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to poison the relationships also.
Right.
So we ensure that with the consent, he can give who our names are, and we have a one-on-one conversation because companies have got a brand now, right? But a person who doesn't have a brand. A personal brand is what is the listening you're providing around people. So what is that no one knows actually because people talk to you, they tell you what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk, they don't tell what they want to say actually because there's always this, they don't want to rub people, both positive and negative, okay, right? So what happens is we collect the data, we do a verbal 360-degree feed forward, collate the data, we give an 8-page report, we again have a conversation with them, which is the self-limiting belief.
Okay, I'll just hold here.
Yeah,
The 360 degree which you do with the stakeholders,
yeah,
do you, of course, the stakeholder identities are shared by the candidate,
correct.
but the collated data, does it have the stakeholder names or it doesn't
No,
have the stakeholder
totally.
names?
It has been put in one shot.
Okay. So that the stakeholders' feedback also should be open and transparent.
Transparently. So we don't tell the names.
Okay.
Though in the process they may be knowing,
Okay.
right? But we don't tell it. And once what happens is, see what happens, we actually work, this program is on trust only,
Yeah.
not to make the people wrong.
Mm.
Once the trust is built, they have a trust on us, they're open to what we are saying. Right? So we collate the whole data and then we give it to them, 8-page data. And based on that, what happens is they take an objective, what they want. They
Mm.
take up 5 objectives in the program, which is, I would say, now the next 15 days. So it is a 30 day, 60, 90 days. So this is how the program is divided: 30, 60, 90. The next subsequent 2 weeks, what we do is we have the first 2 weeks is the conversation, the self-limiting belief, we take it out. The next, from the 16th day, he takes up the objective. Out of this collated data, out of his stress management, he looks at what he wants actually. Because most of the time, I think that if I do this, people this is the expectation of the people if I do something. But it is what we do, the 360 gives you what is their expectation, which may not be what I think of. Right? So we once they know this, okay, then they know this is what people want. Right? So they actually start working on those objectives. So they take up 5 objectives. Out of that 5, 4 would be professional, 1 would be personal. Because until something personal is not there, no program is interesting for people. Right? So they take up a personal objective, and during this, and they have to work on these objectives daily.
Okay. I have another doubt here.
Yeah.
You talked about the 5 objectives to be worked upon from
Right.
16th day onwards.
Right.
So those 5 objectives will be driven by the stakeholder feedback, or it would be a hybrid of what the candidate wants
Right.
and maybe influenced a little bit by the stakeholder feedback.
Yeah, it'll be both.
Both, right?
They articulate it together. We would articulate it together.
Okay.
Because having spoken to the 360 degree, because we speak to about 10 people, so we know the intensity of what is required actually. Because if you, from our experience, it says from the 6th or 7th, we know from where what exactly people are looking at.
Okay.
This is our experience, because we have done about 1,500 assignments till now and spoke to about into 10. So we have that data. So we know from where the person is actually, what people require from him and what is his challenge from a self-limiting belief perspective.
Okay.
So these are 2 mapped. Then we we articulate the objective together.
Okay.
Because finally it is for the stakeholders also to require to what are the aspirations of he has to map his aspirations towards it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this is a total 30-day program. What you
30 days is something which we do, and because we have done about 1,500 assignments till now, the self-limiting belief we will be able to gauge from where it is coming in. It's easier because we got the intellectual capital now, how it can be mapped. So basically, if you look at the data, would be same, but it's like a doctor's profession where the diagnosis is more important.
Mm-hmm.
So our strength is more on the diagnosis. That is one, and the execution. Because this tool has got a permutation combination of 100 emotions.
Mm-hmm.
100 permutation combination of emotions. So daily people have to work on that. And there is a backend team which looks at daily whether the person is working on it. And if he doesn't fill his report, automatically there is a AI base where it goes into them saying that it's not been done. So everything is automated. Because what we found is anything in a disciplined way guarantees result. Right? So that we brought in. And also there's someone needs to hold them to account. Though technology cannot replace human interface, right? But it can complement the process of getting the result faster.
Yeah.
So we have brought this, and this 60, then it goes to 60 days, 90 days. So that's how the program goes. And
Okay. So what happens after, let's say, after 30 days, between 30 to 60 days, what happens? Is
yeah,
it only the hand-holding process?
it is one is the handholding process. Then during this 30 days, after the 30 days, what we have again an assessment happening with the
Okay.
same one. Like it is like this, okay? I mean, you go for a diagnostic test, okay? Once you have done something, then you have another diagnosis. So you would know where you're going. You can assess it accordingly. Though the 360 will not be done, but the self-assessment is done because the person gets a confidence in himself.
Okay.
So then, not only that, we have weekly ones, 2 hours call. Then there's unscheduled calls, plenty of times. Because what we do is we don't want, because if you look at why people not are able to perform is because of their emotions. Until they don't empty their emotions, any positive thinking will not work. Because that's my experience also. We have a lot of positive thinking happening. And positive thinking happens only when you have an access to empty your emotions first. So that's how the stool is built.
Okay.
And also, if you look at, because of the smartphone era, everyone is busy in their own world, be it at home or at office. There's no one to listen. So we give a listening platform also, and not only that, people have unscheduled calls. I mean, they're stuck somewhere; they can immediately call us. So total handholding happenings. We don't want people to hold on to the emotions till the end of the program. Multiple calls. So it becomes more of, I would say, 100% handholding for people and mentoring.
Okay, great.
The combination of mentoring, coaching in a structured way. So after 90 days, people actually, we have also lifelong, they can get to a subscription model because someone moves from one company to another. Automatically, the challenges are different. Or there are some people, once they actually, because there is in our tool, once the person gets a confidence that is able to, by default, he is achieving his objective because that's how the discipline mind works. Okay. After some time, it becomes a habit. It gets into your subconscious mind. What you do consciously get into your subconscious mind. That time, you may not require the structure also, like any car driving. Initially, you require someone next to you. But once you're on your own, you don't require. So what we do is the person takes another objective.
Okay.
So he can edit the objective. Again, we work on that.
Okay.
So he's got access to different things. And not only that, I mean, there are a lot of things right now. What happens is writing mails, people have challenges, right? Intermittent mail, they don't know how to do it and they want to do a PowerPoint presentation to a stakeholders. They feel that, how can I do? So we tell them, do a mock with us. So the cost of failing is less here. There it is higher. So we say, use this as I would say, a punching bag.
So it's like if you're getting prepared to do better, obviously you'll do better.
Yeah. And once the person gets the confidence, automatically he's on his own.
That's right.
Because the self-limiting belief takes off. And sometimes people know the self-limiting belief, but once they know also, it is, as you said, knowledge doesn't make any difference. Only action produces result. So we ensure that our strength is in execution. Because we make people uncomfortable so that they work in uncertainty, because that is where they can get unprecedented results. Otherwise, you're in a comfort zone, you get the same trajectory of results. You don't get results which are very surprising for you. And people, once they get this program, right, they find that, okay, that's how they get, even after 90 days, they be with us. They find there is something unique.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And primarily your customers or your mentees have been from the IT sector, or it's been mix of everything? And geographically, how it is?
I would say mix of everything. Initially, we were doing offline. In Bangalore, we had an office in Raheja Towers. Because of pandemic, we had to close down.
Okay.
Now we are doing online, which is also, I would say, blessing in disguise.
So that geographically you can reach out anywhere.
Anywhere. Right? We got some customers even abroad also.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Because there, people are more adaptive to coaching. I mean, they look for coaching also. So that's happening there. And I would say the sector doesn't matter. IT and non-IT. It is basically the position and its challenges.
Hmm.
And it is like they say, right? After about 8 to 10 years, the person has to manage people. Whereas emotional quotient, adversity quotient, as well as social quotient is at stake. So we look at from that perspective. It could be areas like delegation, conflict resolution in organization, taking decisions, right? And what most of the test, what happens, it boxes you that you're not good at this. But when we do a 360, we know in which aspect he's not able to manage conflict. Like I may be good at managing conflict with you, but with the third person, I won't be able to do it. So we look at from why. What is that stopping?
Okay.
So these are the areas people have challenges. And there's a Pareto rule, okay, 80-20, where if they're able to manage this 20%, 80% results are guaranteed.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting solution which could be useful for many, many people.
Right.
I think going forward, as more and more automation happens, more and more repetitive jobs will go
Right.
out of work, and people will have to really focus on doing things which are human in nature.
Right.
And what Subhas and his team are doing is basically trying to provide that human solution through this Empower business. And I would encourage actually our listeners and viewers to check out the dates. I'll be sharing all those details on the show note. Check out the details of Subhas Bhaskaran's website and the programs. And you can also register using the link for a one-on-one call, which can be the initial call. And once you learn about the product and the program, you can then sign up for joining the program and take that forward. I think that would be the way I would say.
Sorry to interrupt you. I would like to add one more thing here.
Yeah.
Even the personal challenges are met here.
Right.
Like what is happening right now because of the information everywhere, the conflict resolution in personal front, people dealing in whatever they're dealing with. So they have a different view. It is not that they don't know, they get different views also as to how to look at it because both have to be balanced. The work-life balance people talk about, we do a 360, right? So we get some data there also.
Right.
So that way there is, I would say, a lot of inputs and because until your personal is not managed properly, your professional, it may impact, right? So that is the reason we insist on a 4 professional and 1 personal objective.
All right.
That also gets added. And secondly, what happens also, a program we also do for startup also.
Okay.
Founders of startups, not only professionals, because startups, what happens is the startups have a great idea, founders have a great idea. They're pitching, they get a funding, and once they get a funding, the implementation is done by the team. Right? And they don't have time. Business cycle is very less, and VC doesn't have time. So most of the time, what happens is the startups fail because the implementation execution is a challenge. So we do a talent management there also. The second line, developing a second line in the organization, micromanaging, all those, right? So because the company, when it's a startup, it goes through emotional phase. But once it gets into growth phase, automatically it needs to be transactional.
Correct.
So we help founders how to actually be brought in also. So it works for everyone. It is
right.
Because everyone has got challenges. Till your death, there is some challenge.
Yes.
Right? That's it.
Yeah. And the best part is you're able to, find solution for different type of problems, and you're willing to help, and that is most important. Right. So great. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers will reach out to you, right, and will definitely take a lot of benefit out of this program. I'm sure it will help them to really remove their self-limiting beliefs,
right,
and prosper in their life.
Right.
Yeah. So
thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thank you
so much, Subhas, for investing your time today.
Right. Thank you.
you enjoy this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.